Order. Every single human being starts off as a scientist. When you're a baby, you are a scientist. If I make this noise, wow, I get milk. If I push this button or knock this thing off the table, it lands on me and it hurts. You're curious. You're curious. You're always asking questions about, well, why is the sky blue? What does this do? What does that do? Why is this? Well, what do you mean, there's going to be consequences if I do this?
Subject of ministers receiving valuable and improper gifts, the Liberal Vice Chair of the Ethics Committee and Liberal member of the Prime Minister's caucus said, and I quote, "I do think repayment of the reasonable value of an improper gift that one receives is prudent and reasonable for the Act." Does the Prime Minister agree with the Liberal Vice Chair of the Ethics Committee that ministers should return the commercial value of any improper gift they receive?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, immediately after the Ethics Commissioner released her report, I accepted the findings of the report, took responsibility, and I'm following up on every single element of her advice or recommendation. That's what Canadians expect, and that following of the Ethics Commissioner's advice and recommendations is exactly what Canadians expect of any of us.
Well, I'm glad the Prime Minister mentioned the Ethics Commissioner because his Vice Chair asked the Ethics Commissioner if he agreed that a minister should return any improperly received gifts, and the Commissioner said, of course it would be. Does the Prime Minister agree with the Ethics Commissioner on that?
Honourable Prime Minister.
What's interesting, Mr. Speaker, is we have the best economic growth numbers in years that have already been dealt with. And they don't have anything else to criticize us on, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Carleton.
Mr. Speaker, we're just trying to help Liberal cabinet ministers understand what the rules are. And so that's why I'm asking the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister's cabinet is here and they're listening. He has an opportunity to inform them. If a minister, for example, got a $200,000 gift from someone who was lobbying that minister, would the Prime Minister take action? What action would he take? Would he fire the minister? Would he force them to give the gift back? Would he refer the matter to the RCMP or just shrug?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as has been the case for previous Prime Ministers and as the former Commissioner herself stated, moving forward, of course, I'm happy to follow all the advice and recommendations that the Commissioner had to.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking about the cost of the transportation and security. I'm talking about the commercial value of a gift. I never actually mentioned the Prime Minister, by the way. I just described some conduct, and he immediately attributed it to himself. But it's funny, an island like the one on which he vacationed, they're advertised for, and they cost a lot of money, Mr. Speaker, approximately $200,000 for the amount of time and the number of people the Prime Minister had vacationing as part of this gift. Does he believe that a minister, any minister, should repay an improper gift of that size?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians watching question period could be alarmed at the tone and the attacks that come back and forth in this place, but they should be reassured that above the partisanship, above the mudslinging, we have an ethics commissioner who looks into allegations, that looks into behaviors, and makes determinations on what happened and what needs to happen going forward. And I actually am pleased that the ethics commissioner made clarifications, significantly put forward recommendations. I accepted responsibility.
Honourable member for Carleton.
It is an offence for a government official to, quote, accept from a person who has dealings with the government a commission, reward, advantage, or benefit of any kind for themselves or another person. If the Prime Minister learned that one of his ministers had accepted a benefit from someone who had dealings with the government, what would he do about it?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canadians understand and appreciate that the function of an opposition in this parliamentary system is to ask tough questions and challenge the government. I have fully accepted all the findings, all the advice, all the recommendations by the Ethics Commissioner. Thank her for her work, and we'll keep going.
Honourable member for Carleton.
Mr. Speaker, once again, I merely quoted sections out of the criminal code without referring to the Prime Minister. He instantaneously assumed that I was making a personal attack against him. This is a Prime Minister who accepted a gift that's worth approximately $200,000 from someone who is seeking a $15 million grant from the Government of Canada. Does he dispute these facts?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the issue we've run into with this particular member opposite before is, and the fact is that we have an ethics commissioner whose job is to look at the facts to determine what is public, what is private, what is responsible, what is not, and that's what reassures Canadians.
Member for Carleton.
Mr. Speaker, I want to be clear. On behalf of the opposition, we fully endorse the Ethics Commissioner's finding of guilt for this Prime
Wait. It was from a member.